Hey everyone, it's getting a little bit dark out, but it's still somewhat daylight here in Italy. Thank you guys for being patient. I'm a little bit late today, so let's go ahead and just jump on it. And in today's video, I really wanted to share a personal story of mine because, it's funny, when I think about when I was like 16 and in my early 20s, I was definitely what you would call as very like angsty, angst teenager or something, and I had this appearance of having a lot of confidence. Okay. In fact, I'm going to say it, a lot of people considered me to be kind of arrogant because I had so much confidence. And I had this kind of inner confidence in myself and my writing ability because I had big goals. And so I really had to kind of portray to the world this vibe of like, I know what I'm doing kind of a deal. And so I was very, let's say, anti-mindset. Okay, I really and truly, I grew up in California. I thought mindset stuff was like for hippies. I thought it was, let's say, for old people who didn't have, I was young and in my 20s, like in my brain I was like, yeah, that's for old people, like young people who are fit and athletic. You don't sit and meditate and talk about feelings, and what does feelings have to do with horse riding anyways? So that was me. That was my mindset in my early 20s, and I carried that for a while. By the way, I carried that for a while, and I really and truly believed that I only needed techniques. Okay, I wanted to be a show jumper, and I told anyone and everyone that would listen to me, like, I'm going to be a show jumper. I'm going to be a show jumper. And I really and truly believed in my heart that I only needed techniques. Okay, I really thought the only thing that's keeping me from riding in the big, Grand Prix shows is like the skills. Like, I need the techniques. I need to know, where does my foot go? What does my hand do? Where's my seat, my position? I really, really and truly 100% thought I only need to focus on technique, and that is what's going to get me to the high levels. Okay, I believed that. And then something happened, okay, where I kind of got fed up with the industry. I'm just going to say, I got sick of the show jumping industry. I got tired of hitting this glass ceiling. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the further up you kind of climb up the little pyramid or the little ladder, the higher up in levels you go in show jumping, or all Olympic equestrian sports, to be fair, there's fewer and fewer women. Okay. And so I kind of was climbing this ladder of trying to be a show jumper, and I thought I only needed the techniques, and I totally didn't really think or acknowledge that mindset was part of it. And so I got sick of horses, and I got sick of the politics, I got sick of the industry, I got sick of show jumping, I got sick of it all. And so I quit. I quit. I said, bye bye, horses. We're done. Okay, I will admire you from afar. And by the way, I'd been pursuing horses, I mean, my whole life. I didn't know anything else. I don't even have a college degree, by the way. Like, every piece of paper I have is horse related. So if I don't do horses, like, I don't have anything else I'm good at or to do. So I don't know what I was thinking, but I was done. I'm like, I'm done with horses. And I booked a one-way flight to Bali, to Bali in Indonesia. And I was very convinced that I wasn't going to ride horses again. That's how determined I was. And I was in Bali, and something happened to me there, which that's what I'm going to share with you today. And it happened very much so in a horsey way, but I wasn't expecting it because I wasn't necessarily riding during that time. Of course, the longer I stayed in Bali, I did at some point find a horse stables. By the way, I'm going to spoiler alert, I did start riding horses again after a couple of months. But what I discovered about my riding, which I hadn't considered before, was the importance of mindset, and in particular, my beliefs. Okay, so this is what happened when I was in Bali, and I would like to share this story with you guys because it really impacted me. Again, I was that person that thought this was hippie stuff or whatever, like I didn't think I needed it. And then I was there, and I started learning about, yoga and meditation, and I started deep diving into the why behind all this stuff and behind the mindset. And I want to share a little experience that happened to me. So I'm in Bali, and I'm like, oh, let's just sign up for everything related to this kind of stuff once I started learning about mindset and everything. And so I did something. I signed up for a astrology reading, which again I was kind of like, oh, whatever. They're just going to read my future or something. Like I didn't even know what it was, to be honest. And I signed up for it. And this is what happened. So I'm sitting there and I'm kind of skeptical and I'm like, yeah, whatever. This guy starts reading my chart. Okay. My chart. I don't know if you guys have ever had an astrology reading done. It's super fascinating, by the way. He started reading my chart. And I thought at the time that it was like a future reading kind of prediction. So I thought it was just going to be a bunch of mumbo jumbo or something. Like I didn't really know. But he starts reading my chart and he kind of explains to me that, there's these different buckets, let's say. Okay. There's these different buckets. There's relationship bucket, and there's finance bucket, and there's your career bucket, and there's your love bucket. Like there's all these different buckets, okay, which define you as a person. And the astrology reading was not a future prediction. It was really just him telling me how my life and how my past related to these different buckets. Okay, so he starts telling me how I think and what my beliefs are about relationships and what they are about my career. And he starts kind of telling me all of these things. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of in shock because everything he is saying is so spot on true. I mean, he was a complete, total stranger. I don't even think he knew my name. And he just starts ripping me to shreds. Okay. Just telling all of my innermost things. And he just has it there on the table in front of me. And I want to tell you the biggest thing that I realized during this astrology reading, it wasn't necessarily that he was telling me new things in the sense of when he would share something, my immediate reaction was, yes, yeah, I do that. You're right. Okay. So I wasn't learning anything new because when he said it, I just knew from the bottom of my core that it was true and that I did think and react that way to those different buckets. But the biggest revelation that I had in that moment during this reading, okay, this reading, which I had been so skeptical about, I had this revelation of, so this is how I think and react to these different buckets. But how are others thinking and reacting? So that was a big light bulb, like aha for me, because I thought back to all of my past, conversations. So for example, my past relationships, how I had interpreted them or how I dealt with those relationships or how all of my, not just with, let's say, ex-boyfriends, but family members, how I interacted with them and how my relationships with them kind of impacted me in the future. And money. Okay. Money, which by the way, if you guys ride horses, like money is a big one. Okay. You can't have horses and not have money be part of the conversation because it's the like most expensive sport in the world. So money, how I see and talk about finances and how my beliefs around money and finances, again, very related to horses. But my beliefs, I had all these preconceived beliefs. And what I hadn't realized up until then was that these were my beliefs. Okay. No one else on this planet has the exact same identity as you, the exact same past experiences as you, the exact same beliefs as you, especially about each and every single one of these buckets. Okay. And so when I was in Bali and I was getting this reading and I was learning about myself and I realized that I had some pretty shitty beliefs, by the way, that were not serving me. Okay. They weren't helping me. And I realized how much, if I was to change those beliefs, it would skyrocket my horse riding. And that's exactly what happened. Okay. I started to work on me and I started to change my beliefs. I started to not just have this, young 20-year-old kind of confidence, that I had, but like actually internally, okay, because confidence from within is very different than an outward confidence. Okay, how many of us every time, let's say you go to work, what do? They say, hey, how are you? You say, I'm fine. But then on the inside, you're like depressed or stressed or, how many times we do this every single day? It becomes part of our culture that's okay to just say, I'm fine and have this outward appearance of confidence or having your shit together, but then internally, you're not fine. Okay, so this is part of it. This is part of mindset. And this is how I kind of started learning more about various mindset techniques and strategies and exercises. And that's why my riding skyrocketed. I rode better, even with all of the training I had before, all of the years of strategies and this and that. As soon as I kind of mastered this, I'm going to tell you, things really changed for me. And I started riding better. I started connecting with my horses better. I got more from my horses better because internally, I was like a whole person. Okay, I was a whole person. That sounds cheesy and weird, but I was a whole person. Okay, because I did the work and I focused on my beliefs, not just about horses, but my career, my relationships with my family, with my friends, with my exes or my current, spouse or whatever. Like I really, really dived into my mindset. And that's how things changed for me. So for me, it's very important that when you're learning horse riding techniques, yes, of course, a big part of it is techniques. Okay. But you also have to focus on you, on your beliefs. You have to find out which beliefs are keeping you from achieving what it is you're trying to achieve. Okay. And we have to fix that, which is why with all of my students, like honestly, all of my clients, I do mindset stuff. Okay. Some need it more than others, like I thought I didn't really need it. Turns out I did. But everyone needs it to a different degree. Everyone needs a certain thing. Maybe you're super successful financially. Your beliefs about money, solid. Maybe that's you. Okay. But maybe you have really horrible relationships. How can you have a working relationship with your horse if your relationship bucket is broken? Okay. If you can't trust in yourself, if you can't trust in your loved ones, in your spouse, in your partners, if you have a broken relationship bucket, how are you going to have a relationship with your horse? And then those type of people might say things like, my horse is bucking me off or this or that or blah. Okay. So you might be successful in one thing and not the other. Okay. It's not a contest, by the way. Okay. It's not a contest. You don't have to comment down below like, I need help with all of my buckets. Maybe if you want to, go ahead and comment that. Which buckets do you need help with? Okay. But it's important. Okay. It's important that no matter what the buckets are, no matter what our beliefs are, we have to pinpoint which beliefs are holding us back, which beliefs are keeping me from reaching my goals, and how do I fix it? And again, that's why I work with my clients and my students on mindset, not just techniques. So I hope that my story today has been helpful to you. I know it was a big aha for me. I didn't think it would be. But yeah, I got yoga certified. I lived in India for 2 years learning meditation techniques and yoga and like real yoga, not just fitness yoga, but real yoga. And yeah, I'm actually now super obsessed with it. I'm super obsessed with it. I am personally, I'm not just telling you guys to do it and then I don't actually do it. That's not me at all. I actually read books which are just mindset books. Okay, I read or I listen to. I love audio, so podcasts. I watch a lot of like YouTube videos where I just kind of play it while I'm cooking or whatever it is. Mindset stuff, definitely. So hopefully, again, this has been very helpful for you. And if you are interested in working with me, if you're like, hey, I need a coach and I want mindset and techniques. Okay, because that's the best case scenario. And if that's you, just comment down below and say mindset. Okay, comment down below and say mindset, and I will reach out to you in a message and let's talk. Okay, let's chat. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. And hopefully if you enjoyed this video, just again, give this video a little bit of likes and loves and maybe even share it with one of your friends. So thank you very much. And I will see you guys next week for our future live stream. So bye.